I'm Judy Harrington. I'm an environmental artist here in Plymouth and inspired by the ocean and the natural environment. I was brought up on a farm in Somerset, which was just a magical experience. Very natural. My father's passionate about wildlife and the environment too. Very concerned about animal husbandry. Hardly used any sort of fertilisers or anything because the cow poo went on the land and fed the crops that we grew, and then the crops would feed the animals. So it came full cycle, and that was really a fabulous lesson.
I'm Richard Thompson. I'm Professor of Marine Biology at the University of Plymouth. I've been working on plastics in the ocean for over 20 years now. I was training to be a scientist, to be a marine ecologist. I was studying for my PhD. I was working on a shore just like the one behind us. I was studying it every day, and yet I'd got pieces of litter arriving on that shore every day, and I was having to move them from the experiments before I could start work. And I got interested in looking at those bits of litter, trying to work out where they were from, how they got into the marine environment, what could be done about it. And I started working with voluntary groups in terms of cleanup. And because I was training to be a scientist, we were collecting the data, we were looking at how many, of what type, and where from. And something struck me as we were doing those cleans, often with volunteers, was that the most abundant bits of plastic were not being counted at all. The very small stuff was being walked over. Nobody was writing it down on the forms, nobody was picking it up, nobody even seemed interested in it. It was beneath their feet. So when I started teaching students, I set them a challenge. I said, go and find me the smallest bits of plastic on the beach. Don't worry about the bigger stuff. And from the first samples of sand, actually, that the students brought back, we could see very small pieces of plastic in and amongst the sand grains themselves. And that observation led to the coining of the phrase microplastics and all of the work that we've done on that ever since. I mean, in our first publication in 2004 on microplastics, that was the only paper worldwide. Last academic year, there were over 300 scientific papers on the topic.
My name's Louise. I actually live in Saltash, but when I was putting this plan together, I came across this lovely shop in this area, and I thought it would be an amazing place to start it. To start the business. It was all to do with the amount of recycling that I found I was doing at home. All the plastic bottles and single-use plastics, and then I happened to watch the David Attenborough documentary. I think it was Blue Planet 2, I think it was, and I just got so upset when I watched that programme, and I just thought, well, what can I possibly do to hopefully make an impact and change the way that we are doing things.
Plastic is everywhere in the environment. We have to stop using so much. So research has been done at Plymouth University which shows that on average about 70,000 tiny fabric particles of plastic come from a single mix wash in your washing machine into the water, the wastewater. And it's not filtered out by the sewage treatment companies. It ends up in the rivers and the seas. It ends up in our drinking water.
And the challenge here is, of course, that plastics are incredibly durable materials. On the one hand, that's one of the benefits we rely on. You think of lightweight parts in cars and aeroplanes that can save carbon emissions because they're lightweight. But you need the plastic to be durable, to do its job, and not fall apart in the aeroplane as you're going on your journey. And it's the same with a simple lemonade bottle. You need it to contain that lemonade all the time until you drink it. The challenge then is, how do you make a material that lasts as long as you want it, and yet the minute it perhaps becomes litter, it somehow vanishes without a trace, harmlessly and quickly. And that's the impossibility. Well, I'm not against the idea of cleanup. Of course, I'd love to see that. But I think it's really important that we think about these things in a waste hierarchy. And if we focus our efforts on cleanup, then effectively we're saying we've got no solution, that the best thing our society can do is to continue to contaminate the oceans on a daily basis, year on year, that's our approach for the disposal of plastics, and that the only solution we've got is year on year to clean it up and to condemn our children and our children's children to continue to do the same. is not a long-term answer. We have to turn off the tap.
Yeah, well, I've always been conscious about what I buy and the amounts I buy, and so things like fabric softener, I'd always make sure that, you know, I don't buy a small bottle. I'd rather get a big bottle so it would last longer. So then you're only getting rid of one bottle rather than 2 a month. Then you become a lot more conscious about all the amount of plastics that you find on things like your green groceries. Like the cucumber could be wrapped in like cling film and things like that. So then, I started looking for things which weren't wrapped up. And so this really is part of, what I'm doing in here, is the fact that everything is bought in bulk sizes. And so, yes, the ingredients, the materials, the food does come in plastic, but it comes in 15 kilogram bags, which is totally different to 500 gram bags.
And that's because many of the challenges I look at as a marine biologist, it's the thing us humans want that is directly and inextricably coupled to the damage. We want to take fish from the ocean to eat. Well, that means there'll be less fish in the ocean that afternoon. We want to take a holiday or have a boat moored down here by the sea. That means there's less natural habitat here than there would have been 300 or 400 years ago. So the thing we want is linked to the potential damage.
The good thing about this is that people can bring their containers, they can come into the shop and they can buy as much or as little as they want, and then not have that plastic wrapping to worry about at the end.
What I would say is I think the opportunity to make change is here and now. There are lots of environmental challenges facing us. I am really optimistic that if we choose to, we can fix the problem of plastic waste in the environment.
Nature is so important. The natural world sustains us. We can't survive without it.